Ever felt an instant spark with someone only to be ghosted days later with zero clue what went wrong? Well, in today's episode, we're unpacking a real dating dilemma from a listener who's trying to date with more intention but keeps running into dead ends. And helping us with great insights, we're joined by expert dating coach and licensed marriage and family therapist, Rodney Rabani, and our amazing guest, Aleeza Ben Shalom. Yep, that's right, the star of Netflix's Jewish Matchmaker. We're talking love bombing, attraction, texting too much, and how to pace your dates just right. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. And it's about to start now. Hey everyone, welcome back to 52, the podcast where we give you the tips, tools, and mindset to make dating and relationships work for you. I'm Kelly, a technology attorney here in New York.
I'm Rodney Rabani, a marriage and family therapist and relationship coach here in Los Angeles.
And today we're diving into a fantastic listener submitted question from someone who's single and trying to navigate dating with more clarity and confidence. We'll be sharing insights on how to date with intention, avoid common pitfalls, and attract the right relationship for you. And to help us tackle this question, we have an incredible guest with us today, Aleeza Ben Shalom. Aleeza is a world-renowned matchmaker, dating coach, speaker, and author, best known for helping singles navigate the path to meaningful relationships and marriage. She's the author of Matchmaker, fabulous book, by the way, and has gained international recognition for her practical, values-driven approach for dating. You might also know her as the star of Jewish Matchmaking on Netflix, where she brings her coaching wisdom to a global audience. Now, with her signature methods like the 5, 5, and 5 rule, Aleeza has coached thousands of singles worldwide, helping them gain clarity, break through dating obstacles, and find lasting love. Through her company, Marriage Minded Mentor, she and her team work with clients from all backgrounds, guiding them toward relationships that lead to marriage. Now, she's not just a coach, she's also a trainer of matchmakers and dating coaches, and has helped over 200 singles find their soulmate. Whew. And beyond all of that, Aleeza is also a wife and mother of 5 children, bringing both personal insight and professional expertise into her work. Aleeza, we are so excited to have you on the show today. Welcome. Where are you joining us from?
Thank you. I'm joining you live from Israel.
Oh,
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
We are so thrilled to have you. And for all of our listeners, grab your coffee or your tea because Aleeza's about to share some game-changing insights on how to date with confidence, find clarity, and truly enjoy the process. And for those in relationships, this episode will help you appreciate and strengthen your connection even more. Now, let's get started. Aleeza and Rodney, are you ready to dive in?
Let's do
Ready.
it.
All right, let's go. So, we have a 28-year-old guy who met a girl on a dating app. Before they met for the first time, their texting chemistry was strong, and he felt an instant spark when he met her in person. Now, on their second date, they ended up spending the whole day together, and he confessed to her that he wants 3 kids and can actually see that in their future. And then on their third date, she insisted to pay for their lunch, and he accepted the gesture so long as they split the bill. Now, he's been messaging her, but she hasn't responded, and he thinks she's ghosted him. He doesn't know what he did wrong and is stressing that all his friends are getting married, but he feels like he just keeps getting rejected and that he's doing something wrong. So, for our first question to address this, did texting too much before meeting in person set unrealistic expectations? I mean, could that have created a false sense of connection?
It definitely could have created a false sense of connection. And they met in person and he felt chemistry, but
Right.
did she feel just as much chemistry? And sometimes it's a little bit more one-sided, or like 75% he's feeling the chemistry and, 20, 30, 40% she's like, good enough for a second date. And they go on a second date and everything's okay. But when she offered to pay for the bill, it sounded like she offered to pay for the whole thing, which either means she wanted to gesture back, like, oh, let me do something nice for you, or she might have been like, I don't want him to waste his money on me because I'm not really interested. So like,
So I'm
I'll
not
just
down.
cover, right? Because I'm not down. So I'll just cover this one. So I don't feel so guilty when I dump him later. And so it leads me to think that that's what it was, because then she totally ghosted him. I don't know if he went all in too fast, right? Like, oh my gosh, these kids, and I can see a future with you, right? It's okay to talk about future and what you want, but as soon as you take other person and place them in that future with you, if they're not at the same spot you are, they're likely freaking out. So like, he may be going too fast and he may be acknowledging what he's feeling, but he might not be in tune with pacing himself to the pace that she's moving at.
No, that makes complete sense. And how soon should they move from texting to meeting in person to avoid creating that fantasy that doesn't really align with reality?
There's no real issue meeting in person early on. I'm not a big fan of texting. It should be used minimally. Phone calls and meeting and hanging out in person should definitely be prioritized.
I'm on the same page with you that texting, the purpose of texting is to get to a first date. And if I connect so much with you texting, it could be good, but it also like has only where to go down from there. So I'd much rather like text, how are you? Who are you? Good, good, good. Check, check, check. Hey, let's grab a bite to eat. Let's meet up. Let's connect and get the in-person confirmation. I could look at your face. I don't mind to listen to you. There's a vibe that's going on between us. And I want to get to know you more.
That's very helpful. So for our listener, the next person you match with on the dating app, just instead of texting right away, please schedule the date. And Aleeza, in chapter 1 of your book, you bring up the 5, 5, and 5 rule, which emphasizes pacing in dating. So can you share exactly what that rule means? And did our listener in this case break it, especially on the second date?
So the 5, 5, and 5 is about mentally committing to 5 dates. That's the first of the 5. No more than 5 hours on a date, because otherwise we could end up with dating fatigue, and no more than 5 days between a date. So in terms of pacing, we want you mentally engaged that there could be something here. You're not just going in and like, whatever, who cares? No, if I said yes to you, I'm saying yes because I'm going to mentally commit to 5 dates. Can you dump them before then? Sure, but only if you're very sure. But other than that, if it's a maybe and in between, you're mentally committing to saying yes unless it's a hard no. That's really number 1. That sets me up for success and the potential budding relationship up for success. The no more than 5 hours on a date is like, even if you can do it, they might have dating fatigue. You might burn them out, and you want to leave somebody wanting more. Like, we go out, we have a cup of coffee, we go for a walk, we hung out for 90 minutes, 2 hours plus something. Great. Leave a date wanting more. It ends. But hey, let's set up another date. And no more than 5 days between dates, because if I have a date this week and then we wait a whole week and then not till next week and then we have all week, first of all, I don't feel like a priority. Second of all, there's no dating relationship momentum. And I want to see that something's going. And if it's not going to go, I don't need to waste time with you. Like, I have to wait 3 weeks to get a no? Like, we could do that in a matter of, I like 3 dates within 10 days. That's good. Either it's going to be something that's, working towards building a relationship, or not so much because, wow, we really couldn't get this going and I'm not really feeling that connection.
That makes a lot of sense. And within that 5, 5, and 5, you also bring up date them till you hate them. So can you explain what that means exactly? Like, what is, I don't really use the word hate. So does that mean like until you see a red flag? Does that mean until you see a deal breaker? What does that exactly mean?
Yeah, I think the way you just described it is perfect. I also don't really believe in hate. Using that word actually makes me kind of cringe every time. But when you say date them till you hate them, it has a flow, it has a rhythm, and it's extremely memorable. And I've had people dating in their 20s. I've had people dating in their 70s. Everybody remembers it because it's sticky language. So let's clarify this. In Judaism, we believe love your neighbor as yourself. We believe about love. We really don't love to use the word hate, except in an extreme example. And I don't really mean hate. I do mean until you see a red flag, until you look at them and you go, that's not the human being I want to wake up next to every morning. This is not going to work. And I know why. I'm not sure. Maybe, what if? I don't know. It's a go, right? It's not a hard no. It's a go. Everything's a go unless it's a no. But that language, even though there's some rhymes in there, it's just not as icky. Date them till you hate them is like, yeah. But I don't like hate. I don't like hate either.
I love the line, but right now everyone's throwing around the word red flag, yellow flag, green flag. What are the signs that enable a single to identify a red flag as opposed to a yellow flag or a green flag?
Okay, so I'm going to throw a third flag in there, a black flag. Okay.
Oh, I never heard of that.
Okay. That's a
I
new
heard of
one.
dark orange. Rodney says dark orange sometimes.
Okay, well, you might want to steal this or borrow this, Rodney. You're welcome to. We've got, green, yellow, red, black. Okay, what does a black flag mean? Okay, listen, imagine this. You're at the beach, right? If they put a black flag up, what does that mean? The ocean is dangerous. It is so dangerous that nobody should go in there. Not maybe, not if you're a good swimmer, not if the lifeguard is there. Literally, black flag, do not go in the water right now. But get away. Problem. Okay. Abuse, addiction. There's different things that are a black flag. But if you're in a relationship and you are being abused, that's a black flag. That's not a red flag. That's not an orange flag. And that's not a maybe. And that's not an I don't know what I should do. That is a universal human issue and you should not be in it. So there's certain things that are universal and abuse is an example of that. If we're talking about a red flag could be a habit or a behavior or a pattern of behaviors that you're seeing that is either not a red flag for you, so it's personal to you that it's a problem, or that if you can't see it, other people are seeing this pattern of behavior and it's negative and it's problematic. So it could be something like something to do with finances, but almost like somebody taking advantage in a negative way. Okay. Not just that somebody doesn't have money. You have money, you don't have money. I don't really care. That's not a red flag to me. A red flag is somebody who works, earns money, spends all their money, goes into negative, is constantly using credit, spending more than they earn, and doesn't know how to live within their means. For some people, they might be like, who cares? I don't care. Most people would say that's a red flag.
Like drug use, not a bad person, but it could be a red, depending on your values, it could be a red flag.
And somebody's not in a healthy space to be in a balanced, healthy relationship. A yellow flag is more personalized to me, where I just don't know if it works for me. So I'm going to give it a classic example that I talk about. Somebody's a smoker. I'm not even going to talk about what they're smoking, but whatever. Okay. Somebody's a smoker. Right. I mean, we're welcome to the modern world.
You do you, I do me. It's all good.
Right. Now, for some people, they're also smokers. It's not a yellow flag. They don't care. It's irrelevant. For other people, they're a health nut. That's like a yellow flag / red flag to them. For some people, they're like, well, I don't like it. I don't really want it in my life, but it doesn't really bother me. So for them, it's kind of a yellow flag. I'd rather it not be there, but it's not a deal breaker for me. That could be a yellow flag for them. And it's personal to who they are, what their values are, and how they want to live out their life. And obviously, a green flag is anything that's totally in alignment with you, your values, you're like, ooh. I'm going to add another category on above a green flag. Okay. Above a green flag is, I'll call it a bonus flag. Okay. And the bonus is, I don't know, he plays guitar, right? And oh, I love that. Okay. That's not a value. That's not a mandatory. That's not a something, but that's a bonus. If I get everything else in my values that really works for me, amazing. And this, wow. But anything that's a bonus, I'm not choosing you based on that. Like green flags, I'm probably going to choose you based on that. Bonus, if you like the green flags and you can live with the yellow flags and there aren't any red flags or black flags, wow, you also get the bonus too. So I like that people don't confuse that.
I love that. Thanks for really explaining the differences. And now when it comes to our listener and how he behaved and what he told his date on the second date, is bringing up wanting to have kids on the second date, love bombing, as a red flag. I mean, where do you draw the line between healthy enthusiasm and love bombing, which, like Aleeza explained right now, would be considered a red flag.
I think the way that he went into it could be considered a little bit of a reddish, orangish flag, and would be considered love bombing. And Aleeza explained it perfectly, that it's okay to talk about future and children and things like that, but when you're making it personal and you're painting it out with her in the picture or whatever it is, then it becomes more love bombish and more in the realm of like an anxious attachment, and feeling kind of that anxiety pouring into the date or the relationship, where it could feel kind of icky and too much. So that's where I would consider it being more reddish, orangish flag.
That makes sense. I mean, it seems like he is in a rush. He shared that his friends are all getting married. They're all in a relationship. So it's kind of as if he just really just wants marriage. It's not even about who he's with.
That's a really good insight. Sometimes it feels that way to people, where I'm not personal to you. Marriage is personal to you. Children is personal to you. But like, you could just replace me with anybody. And as long as they also say yes, it would be okay. And that doesn't feel good to people. And she might have been feeling that.
It's more like, can she fit in his picture, as opposed to can they create a picture together? So it doesn't really feel good. But, now looking at it from her point of view, the girl that went out with him and that now has engaged in ghosting him, let's assume she wasn't attracted to him. How important is attraction in determining compatibility? And I mean, can it grow? Because we hear a lot, I wasn't attracted to that person. I'm like, no, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so you use the words attraction in terms of compatibility. So I would break those two things apart. There's attraction and there's compatibility. And I love when compatibility aligns and attraction exists also. But what I have a problem with is when attraction exists and the compatibility is actually kind of low. But man, is there an attraction? Like, I just want to look at you, but don't open your mouth, because that just doesn't work for me. When you talk, it messes up your face. So I like that we align in terms of compatibility. I like that we have conversations about our values, about our beliefs, who we are, what we want. Those things are really deeply important. And then the attraction should be there also. It can go from anywhere from neutral or neutral plus or parv plus, as I like to call it, to wow.
Love that.
And as long as it starts out kind of in the neutral or parv plus realm, it can grow, especially if the inside really sparkles. Then the outside, there starts to be a different kind of a glow that comes. Like, if you've ever met somebody and you look at them and you're like, eh, and then they open their mouth and you're like, oh my gosh, you're funny, you're entertaining, you're engaging, you're like, wow. And then you look back at their face and you're like,
damn.
Oh, I wasn't so impressed by you, but like, I'm impressed by you. Like, just keep talking. You're making it better. So there's something that happens, but it can't be negative. It can't be like a lose. It has to be, again, really parv plus or neutral plus. Even neutral is like unmotivating. It's just that it's not a turnoff, but there's nothing that even slightly is okay. Like, I tell people when they're in the neutral zone, I need one physical thing that you're okay with. Is it their eyes? Do you like the shape of their nose? How about their mouth? Do they have nice looking teeth? Oh, cute. Do they have dimples? Ears, the shape of the ears, their hands, anything.
Anything.
What do you like?
Anything physical.
Just one thing, and just glance at that every so often, because you're like, oh, that looks nice. And then you keep listening. You're like, wow, that sounds nice. And they're like, oh, that one thing, that's nice.
Like,
and then you keep listening.
Just staring at that ear. I love that ear. The right ear. I cannot get over the ear, Aleeza. What do you like about the guy, Kelly? The ear. It's that one ear.
I have to tell you, I remember being in school and sitting, in class behind a guy who was in front of me. He had the best neck. And he, in the spring, summer, he had the best tan and the neck. He had the best looking neck. I never noticed necks. That's the only neck in my entire life I have ever noticed. But like, there's a thing, like, like now I do notice that I noticed like the back of a guy's hair. Like, did he have a haircut recently? How does the neck look? I think grade school trained me from sitting in class and looking at somebody in front of me. It's like, it's okay. I don't need to talk to your face. Turn around. Oh, that's better. Good. Keep talking.
That's amazing. And one thing I loved about all of this in your book, and it's so true, you actually said the lines I think were like, attraction isn't always from the outside in. You can get the fire going from the inside out.
Well,
And I
Yeah.
really do see that a lot. And I think that's completely true. Rodney, you actually bring this up a lot on the spectrum from like 0 to 10.
well,
What's at like what number should the attraction be at for it to grow? Because there is a certain point where like the attraction is really like there's nothing there.
So I think it's different for men and women, right? And not to be sexist or anything like that. I just think from listening to clients and, hearing people out and, the research I guess I collected on my own. For men, there's less wiggle space than there's for women. And I think that's just because we're created differently, even though we have a lot of similarities in that sense. Men are more physical creatures, and the physical attraction just matters a bit more to them, right? And they really analyze and observe that very early on. So for men, it can grow maximum maybe 2 points if we're going with the scale of 0 to 10, right? Maybe 2 to 3 points. And to continue dating, you have to be at least above a 5, right? So that means if you're going to go on a date, you should at least be at a 3.5, 4 before going on a date. Maybe for guys, a little bit higher. For women, it's a little bit different. I think they could be at a 1 or 2, and their point system is a little different. They could jump up 4 or 5 points.
It can grow like incredibly.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So I don't think it should be at a 0. 1 is really pushing it. You don't want to be anything less than like a 2, 3, or 4 if you're going on that first date. For guys,
Out of
maybe
10 or like out of 5?
out of a 10.
Out of a 10. Oh, wow. That's really,
yes.
that's good.
That's really low. I was
That's
actually
low. I'm like,
thinking,
what?
yeah. I'm thinking, wow, those are really not picky humans to say yes. I was thinking for women, like somewhere between a
5 and
5,
6.
6, right?
Yeah, 5,
and,
6.
and there's more wiggle room. And
Yeah.
then for men, somewhere between a
7 and an 8.
yeah, like not really 6 and 3/4, somewhere between the maybe
Yeah.
6 and 3/4 to 7 and 3/4 as starting at a baseline of like you should still give them a chance. I know you want a 10, right? But also, you just have to recognize that when people look in the mirror, everybody looks and goes, mostly everybody, not everybody, they mostly look and go, I'm a 10, right? And I want a 10. I had one guy tell me, he's like, listen, I'm like a 6 in looks, but with personality, I'm like a 9.5, I'm like, and he had a charismatic personality, a lot of flavor. He used clothing and dress to like spice it up because his face didn't do it enough. And he was right. And he was more magnetic than a guy who just had looks that were a 9, but a personality that was like a 3. Because a guy who looks like a 9 with a personality that's a 3, in the end, he gets dumped unless
a guy could be so handsome. And if his personality is, it doesn't matter how handsome he is, it's done. Like he's out of there.
Right. Which is why you're right that the ranking for women, they're more generous with the look scale because they know once you open your mouth, that's what really matters.
It really also matters if other things are present too. So you shouldn't give someone a chance if you really feel like they're attraction-wise just 4 or 5. If you feel like other values or other things might be aligned before the first date, you could go as low as that. But realistically, you want to be at a 7 or 8, something like that for a guy. So I guess it just matters if other things are present as well.
Amazing. It's so true. Thanks, Rodney. And the last question on this topic, ghosting now is a huge issue. We're all aware of it. It's happening all the time, not even just in like dating and love. It's happening in work and friendships. It's happening everywhere. So in this case, the girl is not responding to our listeners' texts when it's follow-up. So instead of ghosting, how can she have ended things with him? I mean, instead of just disappearing without explanation, how can someone kindly communicate that they're not interested in continuing to see someone? And Aleeza, in chapter 10, you bring up the breakup sandwich, the compliment breakup sandwich. So could that be used instead of ghosting? And can you explain that?
So, like you just sandwich it with like gratitude. Thank you for whatever happened. Here's why I don't think it's going to work. And either whether you wish them, blessings or luck on the road, or if I have anybody else in mind that I think might be a match, is it okay if I reach out to you? That I really like, right? I met you. I know you well enough to know that I don't want you for me. However, I think highly enough of you that if I do have somebody else in mind, do you mind if I reach back out and set you up with a friend of mine? Would that be okay? I think that's, first of all, that's really kind. Second of all, it promotes matchmaking and bringing people together. And if the person in front of you that you just dated is not for you, your time was not wasted. You were there for a reason. And maybe you're the one that's supposed to be their matchmaker and set them up and bring another couple to the world. So I think that can really be used. And also, I think a lot of people get very anxious about it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to let it down. I'm his hope and dream. I'm his forever. He has 3 kids already imagined in his mind for me, right? I think we have to remember that the kindest thing that you can do is to let somebody down so that they can move on and give them closure. I've had people come to me and they're like, I just need closure. I just want to message them. I said, great. You do me a favor. You will role play. You be you and I'll be them. Message me and I'll give you, right? I'll give you that feedback and that closure that you need. And they obviously can't do it. If they could do it, they would have done it, first of all. And second of all, this also might be part of the problem. You need a lot from them and you have this high need for communication, and they clearly have the reverse and the opposite. They need much less communication. This is never going to work for them, but you need to get this out. So get it out and let's walk through it. And also, sometimes people are afraid, and rightly so, to say why it doesn't work. Okay.
Yeah, they're scared they're going to offend the person, but
right.
They're not going to.
And not only will you possibly offend the person, the other problem is whatever reason you give them, whether you say it's looks, personality, values, doesn't matter. The other person can come back and say, oh, I could change this. Oh, I could do that. Oh, I could this. And then everything will be fine because, hey, you only have that one problem with me. And that's the only reason we broke up. Are you kidding me? Nobody breaks up over one reason. Everybody breaks up over a multitude of reasons. I only want to tell you that one because I don't want to deal with anything else. But it's never, ever one. Just if that one thing would change. It's that one thing and that one thing. And it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. Okay, so there's one thing that I'm saying is the overarching thing, but that's not it. It's a whole package. And either you work for me or you potentially don't work for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And, just on a final note to our listener who submitted this question, we wish you the best of luck. Just a few pointers. When you match with the next girl on a dating app, don't text, just plan the date, go on the date. Take it easy, enjoy the process, see if you actually connect with the person, if your picture actually meshes well together instead of her fitting into your picture. And to the girl in this situation, to anyone in the situation who engages in ghosting, communication is always the key in any kind of relationship, and you never know where you're going to see that person again or how you and that person might work in your favor in the future. And at the end of the day, we all end up bumping into each other. Right. At some point or another.
Well, you never know, what they might say to their best friend and who you might run into that knows that person. So it's good to have that closure.
Absolutely. And that's a wrap on today's episode of 52. A huge thank you to Aleeza Ben Shalom for sharing her expertise and giving us so much to think about when it comes to dating with purpose and finding a lasting connection. Aleeza, before we go, where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your coaching?
You can find me on any of your social media platforms at Aleeza Ben Shalom or at my website, which is marriagemindedmentor.com.
Amazing. And Rodney, where can our listeners find you?
On Instagram, Rodney Rabbani. I have an Instagram page there. And Facebook, I have a Facebook group called Question of the Day where these topics come up every day and we discuss them in depth.
Awesome. Now, before we sign off, I want to leave you all with something inspired by Aleeza's book, Matchmaker. The search for love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone whose values align with yours, someone who truly sees you, and someone with whom you can build something real. Relationships aren't made in grand gestures. They're built in the quiet, everyday moments. A kind word, a shared laugh, the willingness to listen and grow together. And love, it's not just something we fall into. It's something we do. It takes patience, courage, and willingness to take a leap in faith, even when the outcome is uncertain. So as you continue your dating journey, please remember, this isn't just about finding the right person. It's also about discovering yourself. So stay open, trust the process, and believe that love isn't just possible. It's already unfolding in ways you might not even realize. So thank you for spending this time with us. We love hearing from you, as always. So send us your thoughts, your questions, and let us know what topics you want us to dive into next. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. And as always, date with intention, trust your journey, and stay true to yourself. Until next time, happy dating. Bye, guys. Thank you. The content in this podcast is for entertainment and is not mental health, medical, or personal relationship counseling. It is not a substitute for professional expertise and judgment from a licensed healthcare or mental health professional. You should seek the advice of a qualified professional when seeking mental health or medical advice to obtain a diagnosis or any treatment regarding your mental health or well-being. The content in this podcast may not be applicable to you and your specific situation. Topics discussed in this podcast may include information that may be considered sensitive or emotionally charged to some people, and therefore listener discretion is advised. References to third-party resources are for informational purposes only, and 52 Inc. takes no responsibility for the content of those resources. This podcast is copyrighted 2025 by 52 Inc., all rights reserved.